Good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers of the NDC Heartbeat podcast. Happy to have all of you on this afternoon. It's just another beautiful afternoon in Grenada. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be chatting with Mrs. Gail Purcell. She is the head of the 50th Anniversary of Independence Secretariat. She heads the Secretariat, which is located on the Carenage. Well, but before we introduce Mrs. Purcell, we'll just run a short ad of the 50th Anniversary Independence, which will be launched on the 31st. So we're just taking that ad and then we'll get right over to Mrs. Purcell. Stay with us.
Grenada is such a beautiful country.
Get ready, Grenada, Carrico and Petite Martinique. The countdown to our 50th anniversary of independence has begun. On October 31st, 2023, all roads lead to the Carenage for the launch of our Jubilee celebrations in 2024. The excitement starts at 4 p.m., showcasing local culinary delights, artistic talents, and captivating performances in a magnificent display of our nation's traditions, culture, and history. Following a spectacular reveal of the Independence theme and logo, celebrate with top entertainers, including the Black Wizard, Nivian Cox, Mr. Golden, and Dash. Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence celebrations. Be a part from the start and let's make history together. For more information, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Visit www.grenadaturns50.gd or call 438-5050.
Grenada nice, Grenada nice, Grenada nice.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Purcell. It's good of you to join the Heartbeat once again, and welcome. Time has certainly caught up with us. The 31st is just right around the corner. So we're happy to have you on Heartbeat.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks. I'm happy to be here this afternoon.
Great. Well, you have an awesome responsibility on your hand as head of the Secretariat to plan the events and activities along with your team for the 50th anniversary. Tell us, what are some of the exciting stuff that the public can look forward to come Tuesday the 31st?
Well, as you indicated, the 31st has quickly come upon us, but we're excited. We have a lot of great things in store for everyone on Tuesday. The event kicks off at 4 p.m. It's taking place on the Carenage. And it's going to be a cultural extravaganza, really. It will include entertainment, food, beverage, and a lot of surprises. The activities are going to span from 4 p.m. right into the evening, and it's something that everyone in their household should come out and take part in.
Mm-hmm. So once you get started at 4 p.m., should the public come right away or wait for later on? Because there seemed to be a little bit of kind of I'll come later on to pick up on some of the activities, etc.
Well,
would you say it's great to be there at 4 p.m.?
I think we're going to kick off right away at 4 p.m. So we want people to come down right after work. It's an after work event. You can't take the chance of going home, particularly if you live far, and coming back for later, and then you miss out on some of the best parts of the day or the evening. So come right after work, prepare yourself. Don't worry about cooking for the evening. We'll have enough people there with food and drinks on sale, so you'll be satisfied. It will take you right in through the evening. And it is an early evening. We recognize that it's a work day. It's a weekday, so people have to get home in the evening, later that night, on time to prepare themselves for the next day. So we don't intend to be there until midnight. So it gives you enough time. If it's an extension of your day on Tuesday, it's a little longer, a few more hours, but there'll be enough activity because we will have arts and craft on display, so you can patronize some of those vendors. You can have some food and drink. Entertain yourself, meet up with old friends that you haven't seen for a while, socialize, and all of that while you're being entertained.
Great, fantastic. Sounds as though it's going to be like an after work hangout. Come and be part of the celebrations to launch the 50th anniversary of Grenada's independence.
Absolutely.
Now, one question probably that would be in the minds of lots of individuals, especially those coming out from the country parts, St. Andrews, St. Patrick, etc. What about transportation? How do I get down and back without having any worries?
Yes, we are making arrangements for transportation. So you can communicate with your local constituency office, and if to indicate that you would like some transportation or be part of the transportation coming down to town for the event, and that will guarantee you getting into town and getting back home. We have engaged the bus association as well. We've asked them to consider putting on extra buses or extending the hours that the buses are available. So that will help with filtering people out and getting people home on time as well.
And they have agreed to make their services after hours.
Well, they obviously they want to know that people are going to be in town. So I think they will get the clear message when they see that everybody at 4 o'clock is not going to the bus terminal, but they're going over to the carnage. And definitely they're going to know that they have to bring everybody back home.
All right. So those out in St. Andrews, St. Patrick, Victoria, St. John, etc., they go to the parliamentary office and indicate, I would like to attend this event, and that parliamentary office will make arrangements for their transportation.
Yeah, they're already making arrangements for buses.
Great, fantastic. So once they get in there and they are in town, do you want to share a little bit of the snippets as to expectations? Or is it
it's really a street festival. It's a vibrant afternoon. It's a relaxed afternoon. It's a coming together of spirits and people and mind, and in a joyous, festive event. It's once in a lifetime. We only turn 50 once. So we're kicking off the celebrations in the style of which we want to usher in that 50th year and celebrate in a grand style and grand fanfare. The program itself is being produced by Ricardo Keynes Douglas. He is the lead producer on the event. It's going to include performers from drummers. We'll have some steel pan. We'll have people singing. We'll have dance from like Conception Dance Theater. We'll also have performances from the National Folk Choir. They will be there. Giovanni, a young, talented violinist, Giovanni Antoine, he will also be performing on that evening. And so it's a wide array of culture, and I think it's showcasing some of our best.
Great, fantastic, so indeed. Now, the situation regarding individuals who may wish to stay over the night in town, are there special arrangements with the guest houses, hotels, special rates to be offered for such individuals who may wish to do?
We don't have any special rates available, but it is, but I'm certain that you will be easily accommodated.
All right, okay. You never know. Folks might just say, you know what, coming out of St. Patrick, let me just spend the night in town.
Spend the night in town. Spend the night. You arrange early. Communicate with one of your friends and say, well, you know what? I want to stay here and I want to stay in town as late as I can on that evening. So maybe I'm going to spend the night with you and get into work early on Wednesday morning.
Because, transportation continues to be one of the challenges facing Grenada, not just ground transportation, but also air transportation. And this is something, the airlift in Grenada, we really need to put additional efforts into getting that fixed, especially airlift for cargo, our fresh fruit and vegetables, getting them out of Grenada, etc. Although that has always been a challenge for the last 30, 40 years. And so this is something we have to fix. In addition to ground transportation, we somehow have to try and get that one fixed quickly. That's the next challenge for the Deacon Mitchell-led administration. Absolutely. And I know it's going to be fixed.
Yeah, well, everything can't be fixed in one day.
Nope.
It takes time and it takes a process. And I think as our nation matures, because we are maturing with age, we're 50 now. Where we were when we started is not the same as where we are now. Our needs have changed, they've expanded, our environment has changed, our basic requirements, all of that has changed. So we have to grow with the times. And I'm certain that as time progresses, we'll understand the need for expanded transportation options into, late off-peak hours. So late nights, weekends, holidays, all of that, because that also impacts the ability for the economy to grow.
Absolutely, so indeed, because history has shown us that, for example, the Manhattan Bridge, Manhattan was nothing. The minute that Manhattan Bridge was completed, and it took several years, the minute it was completed, Manhattan was just totally transformed almost overnight.
Yeah.
A piece of rock where nothing happened.
Yeah.
You put in access of transportation, and it became one of the most vibrant economic centers in the United States. And this is what transportation does to your economy. And I know the government is, looking at all areas, see how this can be, put into force so that the economy can benefit from it. And certainly, people can benefit from opportunities of being able to travel at whatever time they so wish.
Yes.
So let's hope that, people are not kind of deterred from attending the event, worrying about transport. Do not worry about transport. You will get back home. Just get to the Carnage Tuesday afternoon, and Mrs. Gail Purcell and her team will make sure that you get back home.
Well, we'll certainly ensure that you have a wonderful time and that you will say that it was worth attending. That is our goal. I mean, it's a coming together of everyone in this nation as one people and under one flag, and celebrating what our uniqueness of what we have in common, and striving to build our pattern for the next 50 years. 50 years has passed. So it's a time of reflection for a nation, looking back on where we've come from, assessing where we currently are, and then, starting to look forward and saying, where do we want to be 50 years from now? What legacy do we want to leave as the adults in society for the young people who are coming and the young people who will be managing this country at some point in time? So it's really setting the platform, and it's a significant milestone that is worth celebrating, and celebrating on a large scale. The celebrations will kick off here now, October 31st, but it's going to span over the course of the next year. Over 2024, we're going to be celebrating independence. So while there will be an intense period of activities, because I know for those living in the diaspora, they want to know how they could plan their trips to come home, because everybody seems to want to come home for independence this year, and that's fantastic. That's exactly the kind of spirit we want to galvanize. And certainly, I don't think we'll have any issues filling any planes coming back for independence. So anywhere from the latter part of January, the last week into January, there'll be a 10-day intense period of activities, and those events will be highlighted by our chairperson, Dr. Wendy Crawford, who will make remarks at the launch. She will share what the plans of the NOC, and she will share the details, some more details in terms of what people can expect, the types of activities around the time period of when they'll be implemented, and all of that. And as we said, so those are the national events, and of course the pinnacle will be on the 7th, but it doesn't end at the 7th of February. I will go into the year, and each of the parishes will have an opportunity to showcase their own individual, what makes them special, and bring their own independence celebrations to the forefront, with the spotlight being on a parish. So that's going to help us take the events throughout the year, but simultaneously gives an opportunity for those who are living in the diaspora to come home for a short period of time and capture the essence of the national activities.
Yep, fantastic. Well, for the young ones who are not yet, let's say, educated about our history, as you rightfully know, our independence in 1974 was born in darkness. Would there be some reflection of lights to signify and symbolize we are now fully born into 50 years and we're moving forward with brightness?
Well, we expect there'll be lots of brightness because once you start thinking and planning for the future and you're projecting on where you want to be, you're looking forward to things being better from where you started. So that naturally comes with some illumination, some light, and some hope. Light always signifies a level of hope and looking forward to something positive. So that is it's a good correlation. Brighter out of darkness, certainly. We will be moving in that direction for the next 50 years. I think we've started that journey, and we want to see where the journey continues to take us. And the events, the type of events, and not everything that we're going to do to mark our 50th year is an event per se. Some of the things we'll be looking at our historical sites and how do we restore, maintain, and upgrade, meaning that giving them the focus that's required or should be required, should be given to them. One of the aspects of the independence celebrations was a review of some of the names of significant sites or streets or areas in communities, and how does that reflect our stories and our history, and where do we want to project that going forward. So there'll be a lot of that type of dialogue that will spawn out of the 50-year celebration. And certainly we can expect that will start to chart the way going forward into the next 50.
All right. Now, what can Grenadians look forward to when the Prime Minister addresses the gathering on Tuesday evening?
Well, I'm certain that the Prime Minister will start to lay the foundation and the platform for the vision for the next 50 years, charting a way of how we're going to be moving in that direction, really galvanizing the spirit together of the people, because I really want to emphasize that this 50 years of independence is not about, it's about unity. It's about people coming together and moving forward as one nation. We are one nation. We may have different opinions. We may express that in different ways, but at the end, we are all working to drive our nation forward in one journey. So I think we are going to hear a unifying message. You're going to hear a message, that same illumination you spoke about, the light of the future, what it is we're looking into, and how we're going to chart that. Because and there has to be an element of reflection, because if we don't understand where we started, as you made the reference, how you're going to know if you're progressing, how you're going to know if you're making the same mistakes that you made previously, and how you're going to learn from them. So I expect there will be a lot of reflection. I expect there will be some sort of analysis of where we are, and a lot of projection of the vision for where we are to go.
Absolutely. So now the theme and the logo, I imagine these will be shared with the general public. And
so that's the grand reveal. That's one of the grand reveals that's going to happen at the launch. The logo will be unveiled. The theme will also be unveiled, and the theme song will be unveiled. So there's a lot to happen on that day. In addition, so it's not just the entertainment. We want to bring you down to witness the unveiling of all of those things.
Fantastic. Now, the activities which will span over the 1-year period, how can the various parishes, communities, villages, and so forth contribute to what is going to happen in their area?
Well, they're already contributing. Each of the parishes have a parish lead and a parish committee who are developing their ideas. So it's coming from the parishes. It's not coming from the NOC down to parishes to tell them what to do. The parishes are determining what they see as their events that will best reflect their communities. So they're busy planning. Some of them full steam ahead and are pretty advanced in their preparations. So I think we can look forward to some good events that are going to come out to continue to keep the momentum going for the celebrations.
All right. How is it going to take place with respect to national events? Will you protect them, or would you just allow national events to continue? How can they feel a sense of protection in their planning arrangements?
Well, the parish on the NOC, on the National Organizing Committee, there's representation from each parish.
Mm.
So it's a joint planning that even though they are as a committee coming up with their ideas, it's being fed into the national plan. So it's part of the national plan. One of the things that will launch out to the 31st is our website. And on the website, we will be outlining the events and activities that you can look forward to seeing. We will start with our national events, and that intense period that I spoke about, which will allow travelers to come in. But we will continue to add the additional activities that are being rolled out by the parishes as well.
Right. Now, there have been a number of persons who have indicated a willingness to assist, to just contribute their time, their skills, their talents, and so forth. How do they go about doing this?
That's another thing that will be available on our website. We will have a portal on part of a form on the website where you can enter your name and indicate your area of interest for volunteering. So we're going to be creating a database of volunteers and then engaging them so they can assist with different events.
Great, wonderful. And of course, the folks out in the diaspora, how can they contribute to that said event and also to the parish events and activities?
Similarly, I mean, we know that the diaspora is very active, and many of them already, most groupings have their plans already, just awaiting launch and rollout of the national events so that they could then start to roll out their events. So I think they're well advanced. They've gone into their planning realm, and it's going very well. So they can as well continue to support the events by ensuring they have quality events in their areas so that people who cannot travel back to Grenada to be here live can also take part in the overall experience.
All right. Now, I have heard some individuals made comment of the fact that, are we going to present a national wear on the 50th or prior to?
Are we going to present a national wear on the 50th?
Yes.
Well, that's one of the things I will leave to. I don't want to say everything that would happen. I'd want to leave some aspects of what's going to happen to be presented.
Okay, great. Fantastic. All right. Well, it sounds as though things are all in place for the official launch on Tuesday, the 31st. And we are jointly inviting Grenadians to come on down, make it an after-work line, and do not be disturbed or perturbed about transportation. Visit your parliamentary office in the various parishes, and transportation will be provided for you. And the committee assures you that once you're down, transportation will be provided for you to get back home. Don't you worry.
Yeah, and I think it's the growth of how we perceive things when, as entrepreneurs and business owners, as our busmen are, our transportation providers are. They need to look at where the need is and the demand. So if the demand is there, then you'll provide your service, because that is how you continue to build your business. It is a business, and I think once we continue to embrace that way of thinking, it's going to allow for what you talked about, Terry, in terms of the expansion of availability of transportation at off-peak hours. So we need to grow in that direction, so that we don't continue to have the same discussion over and over when events like this happen. This is the 50th anniversary. It's a once in a lifetime, but we have other events that will always be after hours. And I think as we grow, we need to look at a business opportunity like that to see how we're servicing our customers.
Great, fantastic. Well, thank you so very much for being part of the Heartbeat this afternoon. And I give you the final words for any final comments you wish to.
So I'd just like to take the opportunity to invite everybody down to the Carnage on the 31st of October. Things to kick off at 4 p.m. and there will be entertainment from the get-go. We have food and drinks on sale. We have craft on sale. It's just an opportunity to mix, mingle, and enjoy yourself. There will be an official ceremony part, which will feature remarks by Dr. Wendy Crawford, our chairperson for the NOC. And of course, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell will make special remarks on that day as well. We will see the unveiling of the Independence logo and theme and song. In addition to that, we'll have performances. And after all of that is done, in an array of a lot of fanfare, you can expect a great after concert featuring the Black Wizard, Scholar, Nivian Cox, who's our reigning Independence monarch, as well as from Caracou, Mr. Golden, Rita Augustine. So it's going to be a jam-packed show. It's going to be a lot of entertainment and a great time.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so very much for being part of the Heartbeat today. Much appreciated. And again, inviting all Grenadians to be on the Carnage on Tuesday, 31st, 4 p.m. Make it a success for Grenada. And coming up immediately after Mrs. Purcell would be the chairman of the CBI committee. That's the Citizenship by Investment, Mr. Richard Duncan. He'll be talking about the public symposium, which they're going to be holding on the 3rd of November at the Deluxe Cinema, entitled Demystifying Investment Migration. Coming up shortly. Back with you in a moment.
Greetings to all of the wonderful citizens of Grenada who reside in the United Kingdom. I'm Deacon Mitchell, the Prime Minister of Grenada, which includes the islands of Caracou and Petite Martinique. I'm delighted to be journeying to the United Kingdom to meet with you at this grand gala. Come hear from me as I update you on the progress of our government over the last 18 months since we've been in office. We will tell you about our transformation agenda and how you can help to be a part of this. I will share with you what you can do to help make all of us in Grenada proud again. So, I know there are many of you who live across the UK, and I want to invite you to join and meet with fellow Grenadians as we celebrate at this grand gala.
Welcome back to the Heartbeat today. It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon in Grenada, and we want to welcome all those of you who are on radio through WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, Talk Grenada, and indeed those who are on the NDC Facebook platform. Welcome back to the Heartbeat. We are going to be chatting very shortly with the chairman of the CBI, that's the Citizenship by Investment. He is Mr. Richard Duncan. But just before we go to Mr. Duncan, we will just give you a short ad which talks about a public symposium that will be held on the 3rd of November, which is Wednesday next week at 6 p.m. at the Deluxe Cinema, Demystifying Investment Migration. So back with you in a moment.
Grenada, we know you have questions. Well, we have the answers. The Grenada CBI unit will be hosting its second public symposium on Friday, November 3rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. at the Deluxe Cinema, Grenville. Presenters, Mr. Thomas Anthony, Dr. Wayne Sandiford, and Mrs. Afi Ventu de Vega. Come have your questions answered, your concerns clarified, and be informed. Let's unveil the myths surrounding Grenada CBI. We look forward to seeing you there.
Welcome back to the Heartbeat, and let me welcome Mr. Richard Duncan, who is the chairman of the CBI committee. Welcome to Heartbeat once again.
Yes, Terry. Pleasant good morning to you and to the listening and viewing public, and thank you very much for having me on the program once again.
Great. Well, you having a big event coming up on the 3rd of November. Let us just make it clear. The 3rd is a Friday, not a Wednesday. Let me correct myself. The 3rd is a Friday. So I understand you putting on a big event entitled, it's a public symposium, Demystifying Investment Migration. Tell us all about it and what the public should be looking forward to on Friday at the Deluxe Cinema.
Okay, so thank you again, Terry. So when we say demystify, we mean attempting to take out the cloud, the dust, and the mystery as it was surrounding investment migration, which is a broad term that has under it two sub-terms: citizenship by investment and residency by investment. So just to make it clear. So in Grenada, our investment migration strategy and law provides for citizenship by investment. So on Friday, the 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Deluxe Cinema, we will have some of the more knowledgeable persons and practitioners make a presentation and to field questions from the general public about the concept, the law, the practice, the business, the impact of our CBI program, and of course, the threats and the risk associated in managing such a program. On the panel, as I say, some of the finest experts. We will start with the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Thomas Anthony, who is fresh from London, having gone out there to launch or to participate in the launch of a book on investment migration. So he's well renowned on the business circuit, and he's our Chief Executive Officer. So he's going to be there to answer questions as a subject matter expert and practitioner. Also, Terry, we are going to have Dr. Wayne Sandiford, right, who is an intellectual, former central banker, former PS Ministry of Finance, and a member of the CBI committee board, if you may. And he is going to be the lead presenter. And of course, we have Afi Ventu de Vega, who is one of the leading practitioners as a local agent in the CBI space. So again, these people are going to help us remove the dust, the smoke, and let people know that CBI is not a dark space, that we are going to shed light and let them understand what it is we do, why we do it, how we do it, and how Grenada benefits from the program.
That's great. And I like the terminology demystifying, because indeed, a large number of persons, they see the CBI program as just a passport selling initiative. How do you intend to clear this misunderstanding?
Right. So just to back up a bit, oftentimes when I get a chance to make, presentations on the CBI, I take my point of departure from Acts 22 verses, I think, 28 to 32, where the Apostle Paul was arrested and was about to be flogged, by the centurion. And Paul asks in that Bible passage, is it right to flog a Roman citizen who has not been found guilty? And the centurion left, and he went to the commander and said, hey, this guy is a Roman citizen. What are you going to do? The commander went back to Paul and he says, are you a Roman citizen? Paul said, yes, I was born a Roman. And the commander replied, I had to pay a lot of money for my citizenship. So it means that making an investment or paying a certain sum to become a citizen of a particular country or jurisdiction is absolutely nothing new. It goes back to biblical times. Acts 22 verses 28 to 32. I could refer people to that. So what we are seeing today is the modernization and evolution over time of becoming a citizen by virtue of investment. So these programs exist in different forms in the United States, in Canada, in Europe to a certain extent, right? And over 100 countries in the world practice investment migration, either citizenship or residency by investment of various kinds. So it is not anything new and mysterious. We are early comers to a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. So we want to put it, first of all, in the historical context, in the global context, and then to let people know how these programs have assisted countries throughout the world and how we are going about getting our fair share of a multi-billion-dollar industry called investment migration. Have we gone about it the best possible way? Of course not. Have we made errors? Of course we have. Have we corrected those? Yes, we are, and are still correcting and improving on the program in Grenada. And I think the inflow of investment funds and the inflow of funds into the public finances, to me, are compelling evidence as to the merits, of investment migration in our own case and also as a global industry.
Well, Richard, let me congratulate you on your biblical scholarly in making this analysis. It certainly fits in just perfectly indeed.
Absolutely.
But tell us, there you see in the news from time to time statements being made by international destinations regarding the CBI program and the challenges that it's likely to face in the not too distant future. How do you respond to these, and what are your thoughts, or what is the CBI thoughts with respect to moving forward on that?
Okay, so one of the things I like to tell people is that when it comes to the whole question of survivability of an enterprise or any system, I always like to make the point that it is only that which evolves and mutates as the environment changes can survive. So if as the environment changes, you do not evolve, mutate, and change to adapt to the changing environment, obviously you will be obliterated. So here we are with our international partners having concerns about how these programs are managed, how we conduct our affairs, and the potential risk that these programs pose to them. And we have to listen. We have to appreciate, and we have to respond appropriately. So yes, so for example, in the case of the United States, last February, this year, February 2023, on the 25th, the 5 OECS prime ministers, along with the US Treasury, promulgated what we call the 6 CBI principles, on which we are going to drive improvements in those programs. And those will help to lower the risk profile of the programs and to ensure their sustainability and longevity into the future. So the whole idea, Terry, is lowering the risk, improving the compliance, reducing the possibility of bad actors getting into those programs and causing harm to our reputation and, to the financial system or to our international partners. So again, we could give people some more details on how it is we are engaging with our international partners in the European Union and the OECD and FATF to make sure that these programs are less risky, better managed, and compliant with best practice.
Now, the thing is, the parallel here also speaks to the fact that these international cities, the US, Canada, UK, Europe, they all have the same program. How would it be for these said destinations, especially the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, to say to Caribbean nations, you can no longer have such a program because we have concerns? Is it that they have the heavy stick to lay down the rules, or if you abide by the rules, then you are able to continue with your program?
Right. So, Terry, to the extent that the world economic system is an integrated whole, and I think you use the word ecosystem, where we all depend on each other, for our well-being and our prosperity, we cannot go about our endeavors totally oblivious to the concerns of others. So, while the rules oftentimes are made without our involvement and participation. We are at a stage and a phase, I believe, in our development where we can influence, right? Not decide, but influence how these rules actually come down at the end of the day. Because there are opportunities, for that kind of engagement to a certain extent. But I would like to tell people that, it is not oftentimes for you to make the rules, but for you to find smart ways to comply with those rules. And therefore, we are not in a position to resist some of the improvements or any of the improvements that we sit down and negotiate with these folks, because the 6 US principles, for example, which I could consider to be rules, were negotiated and hammered out between the prime ministers and the US Treasury, along with the CEOs and chairs of these CBI programs. So there was this backward and forth and so on. The whole idea is that we all must accommodate each other's concerns within reason, and we have to be pragmatic in terms of how we go about doing these things. So again, in summary, we do get a chance to engage in dialogue. We might not be able to change or determine or dictate, but certainly some measure of influence is brought to bear by us on how these things tend to evolve.
Now, how does the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, the CFATF, aligns itself with what is happening internationally upon the Caribbean?
Right. Excellent question. And for those of us who are students, practitioners, or observers of these systems, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force is like a branch or a child of the Financial Action Task Force, which is a global forum. So in the Caribbean, you take your point of departure and your cue from the FATF. And in Grenada, aligned to the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force is our anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing outfit, right? We call it supervisory authority. So they would ensure that banks, credit unions, lawyers, CBI, anyone in the financial system touching on concerning the movements of monies and resources and so forth, organize first of all, the laws in Grenada allow for the enabling of the principles, right, or the guidelines of the FATF, and then individual entities have to make sure that they have policies, staffing, and controls to make sure that their affairs are conducted in accordance with those principles and guidelines, and not to bring the financial system into harm or disrepute. So, for example, when the supervisory authority, right, or I think call them the AML-CTF Commission, when they examine the affairs of the CBI, they look at our policies, they look at our controls, they look at the way we do things, they will be able to assess and evaluate whether and to what extent we are compliant. And that report goes in to the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force for assessment. And if we come up short, they will make recommendations for improvement. So really, that is a nicely integrated system. Grenada has just, I think in 2021, completed, I think its 4th mutual evaluation exercise. And the word is mutual because they take experts from, different member states to assess each other. But there are strict guidelines by which that assessment is being done. And suffice it to say that we have passed, right, for all intents and purposes, that evaluation exercise. But there are areas in which corrective measures need to be taken. And that work is in train, as we speak.
Very good. Is the office still based in Trinidad, CFATF?
Yes. They're still headquartered in Trinidad, yeah.
All right. And I remember many years ago, I interacted with a Mr. Calvin Wilson. He was head of the CFATF in Trinidad. Is he still there?
I'm not too sure because I've not been directly involved since I left the bank, but I think the name still sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Right? So all in all, I think what we want the public to know, because these are things that members of the public do not know. Right? I might just be hearing vaguely. So we're trying to put it all together so they could realize that the CBI program is not a dark, murky, mysterious place, where it's not a swamp. right? It's really and truly based on law. It's part of an international, what did I say, economic sector, for want of a better word, multi-billion dollar. And it has tangential regulations and principles and oversight to a certain extent by institutions such as CFATF, FATF, and even right now the OECD is collaborating with the driving a study. CBI programs or RBI programs around the world are participating in that study to see where the risks are globally and how can we lower the risk profile of the programs that exist. And in that case, we have our work cut out for us. And if we do a good job at that, my professional judgment is that the viability and sustainability of the program is assured. That's my thesis. But if you do not mutate, you do not evolve, you do not adapt as the environment changes, you will be extinguished.
Absolutely, so indeed, especially in the age of AI, artificial intelligence.
Of course. And it's interesting that you say that, because sometimes you might just run a query using AI and come up with certain information about, a particular jurisdiction, and then you need to test it to make sure that it's correct. I'll give you a classic example where, CBI has been accused of having, quote unquote rogue elements, having been granted citizenship through the program. And the one case they were able to cite was a gentleman called Justin Sun. And I had to correct them to say, yes, Justin Sun, you deem him to be a rogue element, but he was a holder of a diplomatic passport from Grenada. He was not a citizen, nor was he a citizen, made a citizen by the investment program of CBI. So not because he's a diplomat, he has a Grenadian passport, meant that he was a citizen or that he got a citizenship through the CBI program. So people tend to confuse and conflate these various things. And I might tell you, Terry, that in the almost 10 years the program has been in existence, from 2024, the authorities should, over the years, take pride in the fact that no one could come up with any meaningful percentage of people who have turned out to be bad. And again, if they turn out to be bad after the bad acts were carried out, or the bad acts were carried out after the granted citizenship, that's one thing. If they were bad and acts were discoverable before they were granted citizenship, then that is on us, because we ought to have discovered that. There is no such case that has made the public media and has been drawn to the attention of the Grenada authorities in the 10 years that the program has been in existence. We have our own other failings, don't get me wrong. Shrimp farm, for example, right? But in terms of granting applications to approvals to bad actors, there's no evidence. And I like to tell the team at CBI, I say, none of us want to turn on our TV on CNN or BBC and hear that a Grenadian or two have been picked up, for acts that they committed before they became citizens, that we should have known and did not find out to have denied them.
Now, while you mentioned about the shrimp farm, is there still a possibility? Yeah, I mean, where are the funds? It was some $54 million. Where are the funds? Can it still be accessed? And are these people willing to continue? Or are we trying to find these individuals?
Right. So it is out of the hands of the CBI unit and the CBI committee, because it is now the subject, of criminal investigation, which the FIU has been pursuing, as far as I'm aware, for a very long time. So we at the CBI will not be able to speak, to the status of those investigations, the tracing of the funds, and probably the potential freezing and returning, or not returning, but getting the funds to the Grenada authorities. We really and truly don't know. It's not our purview.
All right. Now, explain to our viewers and listeners what is the difference between a CBI investor who just wants to be a citizen, and on the other side, the other one who wants to be an investor?
Right. So the main catch with the CBI program is people becoming a citizen of Grenada. So you do so by virtue of investing in a real estate project. That's one route. Or you do so by making a contribution to the National Transformation Fund. Those are the two principal routes. Of course, the third one is making a significant investment of your own, in the Grenada economy. So there is no one that I know of, or no case where someone, or let me put it next way, I don't think the law allows for someone to make an investment into a CBI project, right, for making an investment sake without pursuing citizenship, right? Because how these programs are set up, once you are classified as a CBI project, it implies that the funds that you are going to generate to do that project must come under the laws and regulations of the CBI program. So there's no avenue where you can invest in a CBI project other than you pursuing citizenship.
Okay. Now, the other question is, can a CBI investor raise capital locally to carry out his investment project?
Again, the answer is no, because the whole idea is that the local investor or the CBI developer needs to mobilize foreign investment, because what we want from the program is, of course, foreign currency coming in, right, and foreign direct investment taking place. We do not want these developers to come and use up the capital that is otherwise available for local entrepreneurs and local developers to use. We believe they should be mobilizing the funds in the international market through the CBI program rather than using up resources. Now, some people might say, okay, I have a project to do, and CBI resources are coming in a very slow and spotty manner, and therefore I would need a bridge financing arrangement, and that is quite fine, whereby you can get a loan internationally or even locally, right? But that loan is going to be used as bridge financing to get your project off the ground or to get it going and completed. But through the CBI process, you would actually be paying back the bank from the resources that you are generating outside of Grenada through the program. Yeah.
All right. Now, how does this compare with, let's say, a Grenadian in the diaspora, or even a Grenadian locally, who wishes to invest in an approved government project and seek non-Grenadians as partners? If he or she wishes to find resources locally, how would he be treated? So in other words, a Grenadian in the diaspora or even locally decides he wants to do an investment and he attracts non-Grenadians to be part of his team. How would the CBI office look at his proposal?
Right. So the first question is, to understand your question, is it that he has an approved CBI project, or is it that he wants to do a development in Grenada? So if he wants to do a development in Grenada, he is free to mobilize his resources from Grenadians, non-Grenadians, bank loans, bonds, whatever. That's fine, because there are developers now who do that, right, or investors who do that. They generate resources from among their partners to get their project done, not under the ambit of CBI. However, once the project is approved as a CBI project, there's only one pathway through which you can generate those resources to get your project off the ground, and that is through the CBI mechanism. But that aside, you want to build a project out where your business associates and other investors want to chime in. They're not interested in becoming citizens of Grenada, just want a return on their investment and so forth. You are free to do that. You go to GIDC, you make your arrangements, you get your concessions and so on, and you proceed with your physical plan approval, you get your project done.
All right. So I am reading you to say that a Grenadian in the diaspora can put together a team consisting of non-Grenadians and submit a project to the CBI. Once it's approved, then they enjoy all the benefits that the CBI would allow under the CBI Act. So this Grenadian is basically like a team leader.
He becomes the developer. So
Yes.
he might form a company or partnership or whatever, but they are the developers.
Yeah.
Right? And then they will now get investors to come in with them who will be people pursuing citizenship and making further investments into their project. So you are quite right. So again, just to be clear, you have a developer who's a Grenadian. He might be a company and he may have shareholders or other funders who are not interested in becoming citizens of Grenada, but they are the developers. And again, that's important because developers have to put in 20% of the project cost themselves.
Right.
Before they could start accessing CBI resources. So excellent point. You are bang on the money with that one.
All right. Now, what about the citizens whom have received citizenship through the CBI? They're like another grouping of Grenadians scattered all over the world. How do we leverage on these individuals as now citizens of Grenada with respect to other forms of development in the country?
Right. So again, how do we do that is not yet answered. I think you as the ambassador to the diaspora have your work cut out for you.
Looks that way.
Yeah. But no, my thinking is, and I think the policymakers have to come together and brainstorm and agree and have the cabinet probably approve the strategy for the CBI diaspora. So we cannot be naive and think that diaspora is now a uniform monolithic concept. Yeah, the Grenadian diaspora of people who are born and bred and are first, second, and third generation Grenadians by virtue of the blood and the root. That's fine. And that has its own locale in terms of the metropole in England, in Canada, in the United States, other parts of the world, the Caribbean, and so forth. And then you have the CBI diaspora, which is a diaspora that's only 10 years old. That's when the program started. And therefore, it's important that we bear that in mind. And I think that when we brainstorm, we could come up with a suggestion. One of the suggestions could be that the CBI now has to evolve, whereby they spin off a CBI diaspora desk, where there's a point person or department in which the CBI diaspora can engage. And they can engage them. How can I tighten and strengthen my relationship with my new country of citizenship? Whether it is through further investments, whether it is through training, whether it is through imparting certain expertise, whether it is owning a home, doing more in the community. There's a whole host of things that the CBI diaspora can be engaged in to cement the relationship and to build downstream benefits and arrangement for Grenada. So excellent point. And again, given the what is at stake in terms of the value of the potential benefits, we should spare no effort in resourcing and staffing and building up that diaspora desk. So for example, let's assume that we have 5,000 persons in the CBI diaspora. We cannot now, at the click of a button, say of this 5,000, 300 are medical doctors, and of that 300, 20 are neurosurgeon, and 5 are oncologists. We can't even say that, in my view. It might be available, but not in a database that would allow us to cut and slice and dice and say how can we approach these people. Or some might be civil engineers, mechanical engineers, biomedical engineers. We don't know. I shouldn't say we don't know. We do not readily have the information available that would allow us to build out arrangements around these things.
The issue of whatever number exists, Grenadians out there who hold citizenship by investment, the value that they can bring to Grenada indeed is really phenomenal. in all sorts of skills and talents, etc. How can the diaspora office now leverage on this data from CBI to make benefits to Grenada?
Well, of course. So I have ideas of my own, but as I said earlier, I think that sitting down and brainstorming, how we may approach this, I think is important. And then there has to be a strategy around it. Leveraging diaspora is not, what would I say, an amateur undertaking, right? The UN has done a lot of work in the area of how it is we can do this. We have local practitioners who we can put in a room and discuss what would the approach in Grenada look like. So you yourself, Terry, I think you should be around in that discussion. We have Derek James, who has been a practitioner for quite a while. He should be, to leverage his experience and his insights and so on, come up with a policy, a strategy, and a program, and your staff, the department, right, to get the work done. I think that the investment that we'll make in this, right, compared to the kind of returns that we will get, and I say will get, I'm not saying potentially get, we will get, is more than worth our while. But we have to go about it in the right way and to have it be professional, systematic, and consistent.
Great, wonderful. I would want to term it leveraging the opportunities from CBI citizens residing outside.
Yeah, downstream
as
benefit.
the new diaspora.
Yes, and it's new and it's different because you see, they would be acting not based so much so on, well, obviously cannot be working on affinity to the alma mater or the affinity to the community or the affinity to Grenada as a patriot. There's no such thing. So it's a totally different, approach and mindset that we need to bring to bear on that. And I think the faster we do it, the better, because remember, these people are high net worth individuals, right? And they are not, into giving a donation for a volleyball tournament in Village A or Village B. You know what I mean? They are into things that really and truly worth their while. And where when they give back, they can see impact and feel proud that they have made a contribution to Grenada. If they have to mount a medical mission, right? Or if they have to have Grenadian visit their plant or visit their enterprise to be trained or to be exposed and so on. All these are things, right? They could fund tour of duties, to the farm or to the factory or to whatever enterprise they have. We can learn and grow and upskill ourselves, as we like to say in today's jargon, and improve the population.
Well, the sky is the limit in this.
Absolutely.
And let me publicly challenge the CBI to work towards that database so that the diaspora office can take advantage of it and engage these folks out there in meaningfully making a contribution to Grenada. And when you consider our 50th anniversary is coming up in a few months' time, then it's more important that they contribute in some significant way to Grenada.
Well, Terry put it this way, the challenge is accepted, but as I said before, it is more than the database. It has to do with a strategy and a policy. And that's why I'm saying that we need to sit down and brainstorm and work it out such that we move beyond the one-off or even the helter-skelter donation type engagement every now and again. It has to be bigger and better than that.
Absolutely, so indeed. Totally agree with you. There must be a plan towards moving forward with that, huge asset that we have outside there. It's a silent asset which is huge and which is powerful.
Agreed.
We shall work towards maximizing this as we move closer to our 50th anniversary. Absolutely. Let me say thank you very much, Richard, for being part of the Heartbeat today, and let me give you the final closing words.
Yes, so the final closing word is really to encourage Grenadians to save the date. It's the Friday 3rd, of November at 6 p.m. Deluxe Cinema. It's our second symposium titled Demystifying Investment Migration. We want you to come out and be part of the discussion, part of the questioning, critically questioning the program, what we do, why we do it, and how we are making an impact on Grenada and Grenadians. We also want to let you know there'll be a cocktail reception following the event. So it's going to be a nice atmosphere, a nice evening. For those who cannot make it, it is going to be streamed live. So we're trying to get the link out to social media on Facebook, CBI, and other pages and websites. So looking forward to seeing you in person on Friday the 3rd at 6 p.m. Deluxe Cinema or online.
Well, great. Thank you so very much. I know that the folks out in St. Andrew in particular would want to come on out and contribute and be part of this exercise. I am almost certain that you're going to get lots of questions coming from the folks out in St. Andrew. So let me thank you again for being part of the Heartbeat today, and do continue to have a great Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Terry, and you likewise, and to the listening and viewing public. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And let me thank all those of you who have been on WeFM, Vibes FM, Spice Capital Radio, and indeed those on the NDC Facebook platform. Thanks for being part of the Heartbeat today, and catch up with you again next Sunday. Have a great Sunday afternoon.